a bill, and this has not gotten a lot of attention in this session, but a bill that opponents say could put Washington in the business of distributing abortion pills free of charge to clinics statewide and perhaps even nationwide. And it drew some very personal testimony this week from Senator Leonard Christian from Spokane Valley in the legislature. This is Senate Bill 5917. It's sponsored by Jessica Bateman, who's representing the Olympia area. And it would allow the Department of Corrections and their pharmacy group to redistribute an enormous supply of abortion pills to clinics in Washington and perhaps even other states. So a little bit of background is necessary here. So the state of Washington created this big stockpile of abortion pills, some referred to as Plan B. There's mifepristone and some other names that they're known by from their drug manufacturers. But the creation by Governor Inslee of this big stockpile came with fears that there was going to be a shortage of availability of abortion pills because of this U.S. Supreme Court decision, basically returning responsibility for abortion laws to the states. So the post Roe v. Wade area. So the concern here in the state of Washington and our Democratic lawmakers was we want to get as much of this stuff in our custody as possible in case there's some sort of restriction on the abortion pill. And given the fact that recent estimates show that more than 60% of teens and young women seeking abortions are using the abortion pill rather than going in and having the surgical abortion procedure, this is pretty significant piece of legislation. So on the Senate floor this week, Senator Leonard Christian of Spokane Valley urged lawmakers to adopt an amendment that would require clinics or telehealth providers to basically educate a woman receiving these pills to say, okay, if you take the first pill and then maybe 12 hours later you're thinking, what am I doing? I don't want to end this pregnancy, that they would have means to, whether it's a hotline or links or someone to give them information so that they would go, here's how you can potentially reverse this. It's a limited window from that first pill to the second pill for early term pregnancy to reverse an abortion, but it is an option and many women have chosen that. So he wanted an amendment in the bill but it didn't go over. It didn't go over. So he did grow emotional, sharing how he deeply regrets his part in his girlfriend, now wife's, decision when they were 16 years old and she became pregnant and they decided to go in for an abortion. And he shared emotionally on the Senate floor this week that, it's a decision he lives with regret about and that his wife still suffers depression about more than 40 years later. After his testimony on Wednesday, after the Senate voted this off the floor, I spoke with him in the Senate wings about his concerns with the bill.
Hidden inside the bill would allow the Department of Corrections pharmacy to become the supplier of free abortion pills to the entire country. We tried to give them some amendments that would limit it to Washington State only. They wouldn't take it. We tried to get them to demand at least the cost payment back. They would not take it. In my personal opinion, I think this is them trying to figure out a way to provide abortion pills to states that have strict abortion laws at our taxpayers' expense. There's no guardrails and there's no max or minimum. It is completely, the sky's the limit. This is the Wild West of free abortion pills. Washington State would be leading it and the Washington citizens could be paying for it.
Now, again, backers of this legislation say the goal is really to improve distribution to prevent future waste. We've got all these pills now. Already tens of thousands of these pills have had to be destroyed because they expired, or they weren't stored properly in some cases. And so their goal in this bill is to say, we've got all these pills. Let's make sure we can get them disseminated to those that would want them before they expire. And the other issue of this is, before it was, we're charging providers because the state has this stockpile. So it wants to, put them out into clinics or potentially even other states and say, okay, we're going to charge you $5 a dose. This bill says it would be free. So Washington taxpayers have already paid for this, more than $2 million in between 2023 and 2025. And now, because there's this motivation to distribute these pills in a timely fashion, without, you know, taxpayers being refunded any of this expense, that's another concern from opponents. So I also spoke with a woman by the name of Christina Bennett. She's with a pro-life group called Live Action, and they've been raising concerns about the abortion pill and side effects that in many cases can lead to serious complications, even death. And they recently put out a video that reveals some of their insights and how some of these chemical abortion pills, um, with minimal oversight and without patients being notified of complications, some really scary things have happened. So Bennett with Live Action um, shared with me some of her concerns, and she said they're hoping to get their message through, but at this point, given that 60% plus of abortions are with the abortion pill, she hopes people will pay attention, to what they're hoping to reveal. So this is part of my interview with her.
Women will suffer from this being on the market in the way that it is. And the more that happens and the more stories are exposed, I think that'll probably wake up the American public to some extent. But we don't want that to happen. We don't want women to
Right.
to be hurt. But we know that it is happening. And unfortunately, when it does happen, sometimes that's the only thing that wakes people up because they are believing the lies of the industry that this is just about women's health and safety, and it's not at all.